Well, I believe everybody's here. It's 8:30, and we'll call this meeting to order. All certification of the meeting laws have been met.
Correct.
I'd like a motion from people on the board for the adoption of the agenda.
So move.
Second.
Okay, we got a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, we'll move forward. Number 4, adoption of the December 19th, 2023 minutes. I'd like the motion for adoption of those minutes.
So move.
Second.
All right, we have a first and a second. Everybody in favor, say aye.
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 All right, we'll move forward. Okay, number 5, reports. Digital media update. Guess we can start with that.
Yep. So we have a lot of changes lately since the last time we met. So our network, unfortunately, where we send and store files has been almost come to a standstill. So it's really hard for us to do anything on our Evo storage. So that's been really frustrating. We've had to implement some short-term fixes just to work around it so we can actually edit our videos and post them. Right now it's really hard to put anything on TeleView, which is how we schedule our TV shows. So it's been a lot of kind of repeat content on our channel as we're trying our best to get things in there, but they're just failing at the moment. So working with IT to get that fixed, trying to at least find some short-term solutions to allow us to kind of do our job basically. So it's been very, very tough right now, and but I think we'll get through it and we'll get it fixed. And IT is currently working with some consultants as well to try to fix it. So hoping we can find some solution, even if it's short term, until we can find the long-term fix.
Okay, can you explain at a high level what it is that's wrong?
We're not sure, I guess is part of the reason. It's something, we thought it was our storage device, but it wasn't, so we're thinking it's something to do with our internet connection or network down here. Just not sure what's causing it, and so IT's been working on it for the last 2 months, I want to say, plus, and just can't find a solution. So now they're going to outside consultants, have them possibly look at it, but it's just apparently a really hard problem to fix. And it's just made our computers just extremely slow and hard to do a whole lot. So we're having to basically save and do everything on our internal drive on our computers, which isn't necessarily the best because it can cause your computer to crash. So we're just doing that as a short-term solution, but I'm hoping to eventually get past that and we can go back to doing things the way we used to. But yeah, it's been really tough the last 2 months.
Is this issue isolated to your department?
Yes.
And just to the TV station?
Yep, just down here. Yep. So I guess that's sort of a good thing, but it's hard for a lot of other people to understand at the moment. We usually live stream Peace Lutheran churches on Sunday at 10:30 or 10 o'clock, but that has stopped as well because we're not able to get the signal back and forth because of this network's basically almost has come to a stop. So we haven't been able to do that. So I guess I'm moving on from that. We've done quite a bit with the county board transition. It was a little slow at first. We didn't get the room until mid-January, and then I didn't really get all my equipment until a couple weeks ago. So that's why it's been a little bit slow getting over there. I know everybody's frustrated and wants to get meetings in the new building, but I've been working on it. I promise you that. Made some big steps recently, so I feel very confident that we'll be able to do meetings in March in there. Just working with IT right now to get the Zoom capabilities up there, because I know that's a kind of big thing with everyone wants Zoom in the new room. Let's see.
I guess that was my question, is that the reason why we're not up there? Is because
Correct.
of the Zoom? Because we can do the same thing here that we're doing.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so.
Yep, so we're having some, the computer they gave me didn't have internet for whatever reason, so they're connecting it directly into the wall to the Ethernet port, but the Ethernet port doesn't work. So it's just kind of one problem after the next, but they're going to work on, I think, today and tomorrow getting that fixed, and then it should be a very quick fix, I would think. Just something I can't on
Right.
IT, so I can't do myself.
There's
But,
always bugs. I mean, no matter
yeah,
how you look at
yeah.
it, you're gonna have it.
You know, it's even just working on it yesterday again, it was just like I fix one thing, find another, find another. So
Yeah.
just trial and error at the moment, but getting very, very, very close. And I probably would have it ready by the end of the week, I would like to think, and then we can do testing next week. And then I would imagine March will be, you know, first committee meeting of the month. So
Perfect.
that's my anticipated timeline. Thanks for your patience with everything. It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
it's been a struggle, and I think everyone thought we'd be ready. The entire building over there would be ready January 8th, and it's just, you know, as we saw at the county board meeting, it just wasn't.
I think everybody is hoping to be ready, but I don't know if they're really expecting it to be ready.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
always things that come up, so.
I get asked about it every day, so.
Yeah, yeah.
I have a quick question. So you're thinking by March at the latest, unless we have, again, with IT, you never know when we run into problems. This is, like you said, you fix one thing and another thing comes up.
Correct, yeah, that's my anticipated timeline. So yeah, just said that I'll be running some kind of test mock meetings next week. Let's see, anything else? We just wrapped up a candidate forum we did for the spring elections with some of the county board candidates. That went pretty well, so we'll be posting that video pretty soon. It's about 2 hours long, I believe. We'll be getting our WCM award status. We submitted, I think, was it 11 videos for consideration for our state conference to see if we can win some awards in that. And we should be finding out, I would think, by the end of this month if we won anything. I'm assuming we'll probably win something. We usually always do. So excited for that in late February. We also, I ordered some merchandise to help kind of promote the station. I forgot to bring it in here with me, but if you want to stop in my office, you can kind of see we got some hats and some shirts and some mugs and just kind of some promotional items to get our brand out there. And I think that's about it for my update.
Awesome. Anybody have any questions?
I guess I would just wonder if, I don't want to add to any burdens right now, things are crazy. But at some point, I feel like maybe early on when I joined the committee, you had shared some data about viewership to the TV station and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be real interested in that information again.
Yeah.
Don't make it a priority over all of the other things, of course, but that would be good to hear.
Okay. Yeah, I actually, ironically, you say that. I was actually just putting that together yesterday, so I actually have it ready for you already, so I can give it to you today, actually, theoretically. So I just put it together yesterday because Becky was asking for it, and I was like, okay. And then, so that's kind of funny you asked for that.
Is that
but
like
yes.
2023
I've
viewership,
got
or is it
I've got
quarterly?
it from here, or like the day we started each account to today or yesterday, and then I've also got a monthly.
Okay.
So you get both time
Great.
periods. So yeah, I guess I'm a little ahead of you on that one.
Yeah, yay.
That's
Didn't even know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll make her a note to send reports to you.
I'd like to see him too.
Okay, and you as well. Okay.
Yeah.
I can send it to the whole committee, I guess.
That'd be great.
All right. Any other questions? We will move on to museum update.
I guess the main reason I'm here today is that we have the bill we get every year for the website, $264.28. And we always go ahead and pay it out of the Historical Society account, but then the county reimburses us. So, and I'm never sure where to drop this off. Does it go to the county clerk or to extension? It
Yeah, that's a
seems
good
like
question.
Other years we've gotten,
Trying to see if Tammy
Nancy?
is, there's,
Yep, Nancy, that will come to me.
that's our office.
it goes up to extension.
Yes.
Okay, because I think I took it up there last year and they said, oh no, this goes to county clerk, so it's kind of like, you know. But I should just drop it at the
Extension office.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Nothing big to report other than still working, you know, always adding things to the website and doing the programs for historical programs for the station. we've got a good one coming up here about people that have found like mammoth bones and teeth and tusks and interesting things like that in the county, so.
I know one site they found them was in the Arcadia on the river.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's,
really?
that's been working with Jim Lisinski at the Arcadia Historical Museum. We did a program there, and that was some information that he had. This Albert Sabota in 1953 in Tamsin Valley found this huge hip bone, and it was identified as being a mammoth. So there's been other things too, so it's going to be interesting. A lot of interest in big bones.
Awesome. All right, if anybody don't have any questions for her, we'll move on to the educational report.
Who do we want to start? Melissa. Is Melissa there?
I'm here.
Huzzah!
Look at that.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. So I'd like to go first because as you're about to see, I have quite a day today. So first off, I wanted to say that the Extension Office was honored to help out with the MLK Day in service in Trempealeau County for the employees. That's in service that happens every year. The courthouse is closed, but the employees still have some professional development that they do. And we were asked to help with a couple of the sessions. We did some strategic planning. Pat had done strategic planning for Trempealeau County when she was the community development educator a couple years ago before she got promoted to AED. So we revisited that document and got some employee input on some of the goals that were laid out in that strategic plan. And we made it interactive, and it was a great way to mingle and meet people. You know, you see people in the hallways, but don't always know who they are. So I thought that went really well. And then I also helped with a True Colors in the Workplace exercise. And Tim Robertson, who, you know, of course, was assuming 2 roles at that time, seemed very grateful for our help and had nice things to say. So we did an evaluation. We got some really nice feedback from that as well. So wanted to highlight that. We did that in January. And then, as you know, I put together the Trempealeau County Board Candidate Meet the Candidate series for the TV station. Thank you to Danielle, who's new there, but yet did a great job pulling that together. I'm really happy with how it turned out. It is really hard to wrangle that many people, and I was disappointed that we didn't get to talk to everybody, but I guess I also didn't realize that maybe people don't check their email except for certain times of the month, and I've elected office too, so I understand how that is, and I'm sorry, we just were kind of vying for studio time, and also my schedule, which you're going to see is a little crazy the middle of this month. So thanks to the candidates who were able to participate in that. I think it's going to be a great show. You know, we have the benefit of having a TV studio, so I think it's important for voters to learn about who is representing them, and when they cast their vote on April 2nd, having some information about who those people are. I'm also working on a voter information show with the radio station here in Neillsville. I have a really big presentation today at noon. I'm doing a lunch and learn on some work that I did on pharmacy closures in rural areas. That is online at noon. If you're interested in attending, there's a lot of legislators that have signed up for it. I made the mistake of looking at the registration last week, and now I've been nervous ever since. So I'm excited. I'm equal parts excited and nervous for that program. So the head of USDA for the state is going to be there. Some policy makers in the legislature and advisors are also signed up. So we'll see if they attend. I also serve on the Child Care Resource and Referral Board. We just had a meeting last week, so that was interesting to hear what child care providers are seeing in our area and also some funding opportunities. And then I'm also working on doing another child care business development course, getting a grant through some people at the university to give that class here in Western Wisconsin. I did that a couple years ago. It was an 8-week class, and we're looking at doing that again. Moving on to natural resources, the reason I wanted to go first is I'm due upstairs in the Clark County Courthouse to present on the survey results that I did for a sustainable forestry initiative with the Forestry Department here in Clark County. And then also I received a grant, a $12,000 grant from our dean at Extension for a innovative program. And what I did is offered no cost water testing to farmers who have multiple properties that they have employees living at. And this is just to help reduce the cost burden on farmers for having to do multiple water testing, and also just kind of test an idea. And with Tammy's help, but also some brainstorming in our office, Steve and Andrea, this is why it's good to have people who know people, because they helped us compile the mailing list. And then Tammy has been going gangbusters on sending out the tests to the farmers who want to participate, and just kind of organizing the mailings and the supplies and everything. And I've also been working here in Clark County with support staff on getting that out, and then also collaboration with Marathon County on corresponding with the farmers there. The grant covers kind of the swath of the state from Marathon County, Clark, Jackson, Trempealeau, Buffalo, Pepin counties for eligible farmers. So we've been getting that off the ground. I have to spend those funds by the summer, so we're trying to kind of get people interested in water testing. Spring is a really good time to test water, so I've got that water testing program in addition to just my regular ongoing program that I have in Trempealeau County. And I'm also organizing one in Clark County. And then I'm still in the midst of election training. I'll be going to Buffalo County on Thursday to train election workers. I've got 2 chief inspector courses that I'm a certified trainer from the Elections Commission in that. So I'm offering 2 of those in March. So it's just, a busy election year for me. And then just one other thing that I wanted to clarify. I've heard my name and my work mentioned in other committee meetings in the county in regards to a housing study, and I just wanted to provide some clarification and context to that. When I first came on board in Clark County, I did a housing study at the request of the economic development director here. Wanted something that she could give to mostly employers and people who are looking at locating businesses in the county. That's really a main part of her job, is attracting businesses to the county. And she wanted something that was a snapshot of housing that was more pertinent to people looking to find housing for their workforce. So I worked with regional planning, which the regional planning I have in Clark County is out of the Eau Claire office. And we put together some stats. She wanted to keep it to 2 pages. We didn't include everything in that snapshot. I heard that work referenced in a meeting last week, and I just wanted to provide some context that I delivered a product that was at the request of the economic development director. I gave that as an example to what was the Department of Land Management at the time when they were looking at doing a housing study. Years ago, when I worked somewhere else, I also put together a housing study for Trempealeau County because I was applying for a grant from the Federal Reserve, and it required a housing study, and one had not been done. Now, that was several years ago. That was probably maybe 15 years ago. So while I do maybe have, I don't know if I even have access to that anymore, but it was longer than the one I did for Clark County, but again, I was just delivering and putting together different products depending on what the ask was. So I just wanted to clarify my role in the housing study and my past work in that. So any questions for me before I hop elsewhere?
Melissa, could you send a link to your meeting at noon today?
Sure.
Yeah, I would like that too.
Okay, I'm having a hard time knowing who in the room is there. So who is that? Dawn that asked?
Yeah, I can't remember if my schedule will allow me to attend, but if it does, I'll jump on.
And Steve.
And Steve?
Our Steve here.
Steve the human. Yeah.
Steve the Otter.
And also me,
Paul
please.
And Kevin, what?
I would like a link sent too, please.
Okay. Now it's a party. Cause I wasn't nervous enough, no.
You're gonna do fine. What's good news about that is that there's that amount of interest.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is really good news, even though it might not feel like it right now.
I haven't slept for a week, but yeah.
You're gonna do
I
great.
can't wait till like 1:05 today. This is the best part of my day right here, but
Here we go.
You're gonna rock it.
You're gonna rock
Yep,
it.
you'll do fine.
Absolutely.
to be determined.
Well, it sounds like some really good work that you've been doing.
Thank you.
Thanks, Melissa.
Yep, I'll see you all later.
All right, take care.
Yeah.
Bye.
Next.
Sure. So again, Adam Trunzo, youth and families educator at 60% in the county, split between the two, and then 40% of my work is at the state level. So of that 60%, it's split. The youth side of things is a lot of it's direct education, but there's a little bit of that kind of systems level work. Right now we're planning for a lot of educational programming in the spring. So I run the 8th grade environmental day program for many, many years in the county, which brings as many of the 8th graders from around the county down to Perot Park, the Wildlife Refuge, and the Lock and Dam to just kind of learn about how those things function, talk about commerce on the river. They get out there, they typically do some sort of service project, service learning, but just get them out in the local community and see what nature looks like there. And you usually get a mix. There's, the farm kids that this is kind of their thing, and you get the kids where it's like, I never knew that this existed, and then, now they know of a resource in their county. So planning for that right now. And then a lot of the elementary schools have some sort of environmental program in the spring, so just planning for what that would look like. So going to the elementary schools and talking for 20 or 40 minutes on some sort of topic. So that's bringing extension resources in, working directly with kids. And then a lot of times, one of the things that's sprung from that is we did like paleontology, geology course there, or like program there. And then shortly after, they're like, oh, I think, a teacher emailed me and said, I think we found a fossil. And we were able to connect that teacher in that classroom on Zoom to an actual, and I think Steve helped out to connect them with an actual geologist or paleontologist who could talk directly to that 3rd grader who found it and just kind of see what their job entails and talk them through that process. So it's kind of that nice connecting Trempealeau County to UW resources. Other things, kind of ongoing STEM education, so science, technology, engineering, and math, with after school and libraries. So those are just kind of long-standing, ongoing programs that keep a lot of those, they're called 21st Century Learning Centers, and they're grant funded. So we're able to bring those into Arcadia and Whitehall school districts. And one of the key things with that is having community partners. And in both of those, we are the kind of bedrock community member to make sure that those grants continue. And they often turn to me and to us for kind of helping that grant writing and making sure that that's, hundreds of thousands of dollars keep flowing to those communities to have after school care and education for those youth. So that's part of what I'm doing there. And then systems level stuff is working with the Trempealeau County Alliance for Youth, which is a group of schools and anyone who's engaged with youth work. So like Children's Wisconsin, along with a lot of other groups, just kind of meet every other month and share best practices, share things that are happening, like last night's mental health night in Osseo Fairchild School District. That's something that's shared and communicated within that group, and then we're able to get more people coming to those nights and sharing resources. And then also using that as a means to have like guest speakers and different things like that. A lot of times our county is split between different CISA groups, so like kind of administrative zones for school districts. So a lot of times Osseo doesn't communicate a lot with Arcadia or Trempealeau, and it's a chance for us to bring everybody together and share issues that are common to Trempealeau County and discuss them. And there's really no other space where that happens specifically. So those are my work points for youth. Before I head into families, any questions, comments?
Do you do any kind of like assemblies? Is that how you get these schools together to talk to all these kids, or just classes?
Classes seem to work best.
Okay.
Assemblies have some value, but if we're talking about kind of long-term effective change, a lot of times bringing in a scared straight or like a prom car crash scenario, they're a part of the piece, but it's kind of digging deeper and having extension coming in there month to month and working with the youth that is more effective.
Thank you.
Moving into the family side and kind of youth, we have our Juntos program. We do it every spring with the middle school in Arcadia, and that is 5 weeks of programming, 1 night a week, where we share a meal, and it's a lot about community building. It's a lot about sharing and having families and youth, typically like 7th, 8th graders, having them discuss within their families, like, what are your goals for getting through high school and professionally. And then we work with them and say, all right, here's how you can reach those goals, and here's why graduating high school is important. Here's why you can get the jobs that you're looking for. And it focuses, and it's bilingual, so it's make sure that it covers everybody in the community to make sure that we're reaching people who maybe don't have access to some of those services otherwise. So it's been a long-standing thing, and then I work with Andrea and Jacob and Monica Kamrowski Lopez, who's another one of our colleagues within this group. So it's a big collaborative effort to kind of build community in the Arcadia area. And then one deep dive that I wanted to make was the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council that we have in our county. It's a group that I kind of convene or kind of facilitate the meetings for. We meet every other month, and it's the department heads of all of the departments within the county that have a hand in the justice system. So that's anything from human services to the victim's witness advocate to the DA, judge, sheriff, the county board chair. We have law enforcement committee, human services committee representatives, and some community members. And that's a space to really coordinate on a lot of criminal justice issues or things that are bigger than any one part of the justice system to address. So like the transition to the new facility is one of the comments that, or one of the things that are discussed in that group. But over the last 2 years, I've been doing a system mapping exercise with them to kind of see how a person typically moves through the justice system, and then see what we can do to improve the system from there. And after this winter, they came up with 4 different groups. So I've been working with those different kind of action groups to move those efforts forward. So that's resources for re-entering the community. So when they get released in November with a garbage bag and flip-flops, like, where can we intervene to make sure that they get what they need to get back to their jobs, to get back to their homes and their families, and get started again. So through that organization, we were able to write for and get a $4,900 grant to provide kind of adult like clothes and socks and hats and shoes and work boots and those sort of things through a couple of local churches, and kind of working with them and on kind of distributing those to the Department of Corrections or the house here in Whitehall, where they can go to if they need a little bit of transition time, or if they're leaving the jail, or if they're coming to the library, or if they're going to Western Dairyland, or, so all of those different groups we've got long-standing relationships with, so that we can get those resources to the people who need them effectively. So a lot of times you'll have a coat closet, but it's just like, well, unless somebody comes to the Pigeon Falls Sunday School building and goes upstairs and picks stuff out, it's hard for them to get it. So there's the resources, then there's like a mental health group that's been getting together, so working with a lot of like law enforcement and professionals to kind of talk about what it takes to kind of engage with the mental health system, especially at the scene of an incident. So if there's somebody who's called in, it's law enforcement, and there's a mental health crisis, kind of talking through and sharing best practices for what that looks like. Others is like data coordination committee, so like how do we share information between like the different offices to make sure somebody gets what they need, continuum of care all the way from maybe an initial booking to past release and into the probation period. And then we're also looking at just kind of community prevention. So kind of what you're talking about is like, how can we do kind of a deep dive and do best evidence-based practices inside of those schools to make sure that we are preventing substance use and abuse early on as well as we can. And then also working with folks within the justice system or other systems to prevent relapse or different things like that. And then also working with some folks from Western Technical College for like GED, HSED completion, so people can get the skills and qualifications they need to get the jobs around here. Because every single week I'm working with people out of the jail or otherwise, and they're like, I don't have my GED or HSED, and we're like, okay, let's try to find some jobs that you qualify for, and here's how to connect you to those programs. And then doing some remote fatherhood programs, Head Start, in-person fatherhood programs, in-person diversion meetings with individuals to work on anything from personal finance to parenting, and then the jail reentry programs. And one thing with the Juntos that I forgot to mention is we received a $2,500 grant to do those programs this spring and into the summer.
Questions? I don't think so. I was thinking of, I want to ask something else.
It's kind of like, whoa.
I have so much in my head when it comes to kids, I can't stand it. I'll leave that alone.
Okay,
All right.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Why don't we go with Marielle Ortiz, and she is our brand new food-wise
Okay.
educator.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
As Pat said, I'm the new bilingual nutrition educator for Foodwise. So I am 100% on the Foodwise program. I just started December 21st, so it's been about 2 months. So lots of preparation and trainings. We started right away with me shadowing our other educator, April. And now we moved on to co-teaching in schools. So I have attended 4 schools and 16 classrooms total. So the plan is for me to, once I'm ready, of course, to just jump on and do Arcadia and independent schools. And we teach about My Plate, and this means we try to introduce kids to new foods and make sure they're brave enough to try them. So yeah, it's been a journey. I mean, just me, I didn't have much experience with just kids. I was previously employed in the health department, so I did have a little bit of experience with the nutrition education. But like I say, you're just learning and lots of online trainings.
Awesome.
Welcome.
Thank
Welcome,
you.
welcome.
Glad to have her.
We?
You.
Let's do it. Okay. So you've got a kind of a partial report of what I've been doing. I'm involved with 2 statewide programs. One is a land leasing and land access program. So one of the questions that comes up a lot is, what do I charge for rent for cropland? And then the other side of that is how do I, I've got gullies on my farm and there's no hay being grown, and so how do I get the tenant farmer to take better care of the land? So I had originally envisioned doing a local couple hour meeting and pull people in and talk about that. So as I contacted the people in the farm management wing of Extension, they're like, hey, we've got this great idea. So we did it statewide as a webinar, and then as kind of an offshoot to that, we did a land access program for Hmong farmers, because they're growing fruits and vegetables, generally small acreage. So if an 80-acre farm comes up for rent and you only want 10 acres, how do you go about getting, how do you get land? You got language barrier, cultural barrier. I mean, then you only want a small piece, and on like that. So that was also part of that. So we've done both of those sessions. The conservation clauses in leases session, and the land access session for mung growers. And there's some follow-up work being done on that. So that took a fair amount of time in December to put it together, and we had our webinars in early February here. And then another one is called Focus on Forage, and that's a statewide program where 4 sessions of Zooms for farmers, livestock producers that grow forage, alfalfa, corn silage, some annual forages like sorghums, that sort of thing. And also we have continuing education credits for certified crop advisors and livestock nutritionists. So that will start here next week on the 28th, and we'll do 4 sessions of that. So I was on the planning committee, and I will be one of the people behind the scenes pulling the levers to make sure that works. I'll also be presenting on how to get your pastured cattle and sheep and whatever through that summer dry period, the summer slump. So then let's see, I had Chris Bandura, who is a new state specialist, water quality specialist, come to Blair and talk about biological fertilizer enhancers. It's kind of a new frontier in agriculture, and of course the companies say they work better than sliced bread, and we just don't really have that data yet. So he talked about that. I talked about proper fertilizer rates and crop responses to various soil nutrient levels and so on. We had a good crowd for that. I think we had 12 farmers attend that. And then in Melrose, started out as a grain marketing program years ago when Tricia Wagner was in Jackson County. So I've kind of kept that group going. So we discussed some markets, and then I discussed some agronomy issues. So we've got that coming up Thursday, the last of 2. The first one was a couple of weeks ago, and I discussed soil fertility and soil pH and that. So we always have a good crowd for that. So we got a lot going on there. Down here is stuff going on in the state. I'm not speaking at all of them, obviously. There's a lot. Oh, and another thing is grain marketing curriculum. You've probably heard me talk about this. We started planning that back about a year ago. We put that together. That's a flipped classroom, so people sign up for that, and they go through and learn about how to properly market their grain. Sorry about that. And properly market their grain so they get a better price, and then they can come and have a live discussion with educators. So that's going through, and then as part of that, a new farmer would get a certificate that would satisfy some USDA requirements. So if they're going through USDA for a new farmer loan, then that would give them a certificate that they can say, hey, I learned something about how to run my business. So that's taken up a fair amount of time, and so that's ongoing. And there was 22 people across the state signed up for that. A lot of farmers, if you do a survey, they want all kinds of information about grain marketing. They want information about grain marketing and information about accounting. But they do not come to sessions unless somebody's going to give them the magic bullet. Like, okay, sell all your corn on March 5th because that's going to be the highest price of the year. That's the kind of stuff they want to hear. They don't want to hear, if you pay attention and you do a good job, you'll earn an extra 10-15 cents a bushel over the course of the year compared to the person that just gets lucky, you know. So 22 people signed up statewide doesn't sound like much, but for this type of work, that it's a lot. So it was a successful still is a successful program. So, and then this program will live on. We'll update, you know, from time to time, but it will live on for a good number of years here too.
And that's the grain marketing.
That's the grain marketing, yeah. The Focus on Forage is an annual thing we do. Extension does every year, February and March with that. And so
have any other questions? I think we're good. All right.
All right. Jacob?
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So I think we'll start off with horticulture. So I've been super busy in the last few months with horticulture. Had plenty of presentations at the Whitehall Library. The latest one was mushroom cultivation. The next one is next week, Wednesday. We're talking about edible gardens, edible landscapes. And then I have a third one talking about illustration, nature illustration. So teaching people how to draw leaves and anatomically correct things. So I have my presentations at the library. I'm working on scheduling more with the Independence Library. That just really depends on funding and some other stuff. Like Adam said, there's environmental days for both Galesville and Ettrick, so I'll be participating in those. Or Blair and Ettrick, sorry. Participating in those. Hopefully work with him for the 8th grade environmental day. Did that last year. I just participated last year. Hopefully maybe I'll be able to teach something this year, work with Dana and go forward. So pretty much the same stuff as last year, lots of teaching. One thing that we weren't doing last year is there's a significant increase in workload with the community garden. So I've been looking to expand the community garden and have had plenty of meetings working with that, meeting with the Arcadia School District to see what's possible to expand on their property. I have a meeting tomorrow with the Arcadia County Board to seek their approval for an additional piece of land in Arcadia to expand the garden further. And then I had a meeting with Ruth last night to talk about some of the things we're expanding as well. So I did receive one grant for the expansion of the community garden. I'm applying for a few different more, including like the Dean's Innovation Grant and a few more local ones for that. So, so that's it for horticulture. Still pretty busy. For restorative justice, a lot of capacity building. So attending all the meetings, the Arctic, CJHC, Youth Alliance, Ruth, all the meetings here. Building more capacity by working with the statewide restorative justice committee on their planning and proposals. And then I have been working on my cultivating garden project. So I brought that to a few people for collaboration. We've been working on finding the correct, partners to work with to get this up and running. So, any questions?
I don't think so. I think we're good. All right, 4-H.
4-H. So if you reference something that I did not make, so I cannot take credit for how beautiful it is, but we got these emailed or mailed to our office. They are the Wisconsin 4-H report. So our whole impact for what the state has been doing. I know a lot of times I talk about just county specific stuff, but there's actually a lot of really cool stuff, especially on page, I was just looking at it, page 8. We are actually talking about what Adam and I do, which is Juntos, and they mention both of us in there. So I mean, we are doing state level stuff here in Trempealeau County, but I kind of want to let you guys peruse it, but I'm going to go over the second page one, the Wisconsin 4-H by the numbers, because I have, and you guys should probably have it emailed to you. I don't know if Tammy made copies of everything, but I have a Trempealeau County specific that I'll talk about. So these are just from this last year, 2023, and I didn't do the where people are living because if we just do the math, Trempealeau County doesn't have anything over 10,000 population-wise for any cities, so really it wasn't going to be as good. So, so yeah, there's about 26,000 youth members around the whole state, so that's pretty good. We're kind of everywhere where we need to be. And then if you look at just the top enrolled projects, you can then compare with what we have for Trempealeau County. So those, when youth enroll on 4-H Online, the very last thing that comes up is what type of projects do you want to be in? And when people say, well, what is there? The list is shorter of what we don't do in 4-H than what we do. So there's only a handful of things that we really can't do, like legality-wise, but also, legality-wise. So like art is very popular, but I like to remind people, because I helped work on a state art project team. Art's very broad. Like, is it ceramics, is it painting? It gets down to that in different places, but like if we're just looking at art in general, art is big. It's also, it starts with A, so it's probably one of the first things that people see when they enroll, so they're gonna click art. But photography is huge. Clover Buds, which is kindergarten through 2nd grade members, so those are all of our little kids. They can only be in the Clover Bud project when they first start, because we want them to go and try other things, figure out what they like, and then they can go and do the other things once they're a full-fledged member. And then of course foods and nutrition, woodworking, swine, poultry, drawing and painting, as we see comes down later, then beef and archery. So if we compare those numbers to what we have in Trempealeau, which also we had last year 221 club members total in our county, which is pretty good. We had actually a 5.8% increase in membership from the previous year, which I know a lot of people are like, well, COVID really hit the youth programming hard. It did. But as we can see from our numbers, we did come back at least 5%, which is a pretty big percentage. So our project list, art is once again our top project, but then we have Clover Buds, and then something that I think, at being a, I went to school for ag education, so like ag is kind of my space. I love seeing that it's animal projects that are next. But, I mean, we have to remember we're from a pretty rural county. A lot of people have access to stuff like that, and a lot of times kids join 4-H because they want to be able to show at the fair. And they want to be able to exhibit those animals, because we don't always have that opportunity in other spaces. So that's what they come to us for. So swine, beef, dairy, horse, but Trempealeau County is a very strong horse project. They are actually this year in August, they will be hosting a Gymkhana event. So I know Dawn knows what Gymkhana is, but Gymkhana is like the speed event. So like barrel racing, pole bending, stuff like that. It's a big horse show that they're going to be doing. That's technically a district show, but districts don't, they're no longer a thing in 4-H. So the northern half of Wisconsin, any youth who participates in the horse project will be able to come and participate in that, and that will be here in Trempealeau County. So that's a pretty big deal.
It's gonna be out at Peach Park, or
No,
where?
it'll be down at the fairgrounds. If you have been to the fairgrounds, the whole horse area, that the horse project has redone. They're actually looking at a grant this year to redo the footing for that arena, so that when it rains naturally during the fair and they're not able to get in there, they're trying to redo the footing so that it drains better. But yeah,
You mean the horses don't like to run around in mud?
I don't like to run around in mud, so I can't
Generally
imagine.
don't
I
care.
thought horses and hippopotamuses, they were in the same general family.
Yeah, that's it.
Sometimes. But yeah, so we have a really good, strong horse project, so that does not surprise me that we have at least 30 members who are interested in the horse project. And then of course photography, flowers, Lego, and woodworking. So we got this after they sent this out, so be sure to peruse this and take a look at what else is going on in the state, because we do have, they have some youth-specific stuff on what they've been doing, and some programs that have been like state level. I don't want to go over it because I don't want it to be like a here's what we're doing, you know, kind of thing. But there's some really great stuff. And 4-H, I will say, like, our leadership now at the state level is becoming a lot stronger, which is making the rest of the program a lot stronger. Near the back, they talk about AmeriCorps members. So as long as we're able to have funding, they're trying to make it so that we are able to hire more people to help build our capacity around the state, and then in specific offices too. So there's a lot of growth happening right now, which I think is fantastic. So then I don't have anything written down for what I'm doing currently, but right now I'm really focusing on getting everything ready for the summer. So like spring programming and summer programming, I'm getting YQCA stuff ready, which is Youth for the Quality Care of Animals. So youth have to take that in order to exhibit or actually sell any market animal at the fair. So that includes like chickens, rabbits, sheep, goats, everything. And then I'm also planning on doing another like showing, exhibiting workshop for youth. And then Steve and I, we've connected on it, but we need to pick some times and dates. I'm really big on like biosecurity. I grew up, my dad raises chickens for Golden Plump, and so I grew up with the idea of biosecurity, and then I watch youth who are exhibiting and bringing animals to a place and then sharing their equipment and then taking it home. And I mean, the biosecurity aspect of that is big. Like, you can bring something back to your farm that you don't want or need. And so I want to make sure that we're talking to kids about that early on so that they can make better practices and keep their animals safe, keep themselves safe, and stuff like that. So that'll be coming up. And then we're also planning camp, like spring all the way until like mid-fall. I am very busy. So
Spring started now, hasn't it?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Isn't it the end of March?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
in a way, yes.
It's kind of crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, so yeah, I wanted to give you guys mainly just a kind of year in review thing of what's been happening in 4-H, but then also give you guys an opportunity to think of what's going to be happening within the next couple of months. So do you guys have any questions for me?
I do not.
Read the book, because I might quiz you later. Not actually, but pretend I will.
It's interesting. I will read it.
Thank you.
It's a good report.
Pat, do you need to add anything?
It's evaluation time. I'm reviewing people. She gets under the gun today. and-
Awesome.
Yeah,
You gotta
I
love
did
that.
add them, and you know, it's actually one of my favorite times of the year because we have great educators.
Yeah, I
And they're
totally
doing
agree with that.
important things and making a difference each and every day. So that really helps me. And other than that, we'll talk about that next thing.
Yeah, I think we should. Business to discuss is regional, what is it, agriculture model decision action? What do
Yes.
we got going with that?
Okay, well, back years ago with the advent of Next Generation, Trempealeau County agreed to partner with Jackson County on the delivery of ag services. And that's when we split up Steve's time 50-50 with Jackson County. And that's when we also acquired the horticulture educator. So that's, I think, been really great. But the emphasis at the state level has been to create what they're calling regional ag service areas, hiring regional ag agriculturalists. And the Institute director is emphasizing this as a way to deal with, you know, not as much funding as they used to have, and they want increased specialization. So increasing pressure has been placed on the educators to specialize in certain areas. And Steve's specialization has been crops.
Yep.
Crops. But as long as he's worked for the two counties, he's also taken on some other, you know, livestock things and farm management stuff. Well, I don't know how familiar you are with Buffalo County, but their ag agent, who had been there 37 years, died this fall. Not unexpected. He had ALS, but it was clear to Buffalo County ultimately that they could not afford their own ag agent because that's very expensive. So they chose to go to the regional ag model. And what we are proposing, and they've accepted, is the regional ag model covering Jackson, Trempealeau, and Buffalo County. And at the heart of it is 2 educators for those 3 counties. One of them would be a crops educator. We don't have to do any hiring. There he is. There he is. He will be officially knighted soon. And then hire a livestock educator. And what we do with the cost is, you know, add it up, divide it by 3, you know, and so everybody's paying an equal amount. But I really need, you know, your permission to move forward. Now, Buffalo County was in the place where they were going to save money no matter what we did unless they hired their own fully county funded one, which was been pushing $96,000. So, if we were a fully funded regional ag model right at this moment, it would cost us a bit more. Not tons more, but a bit more. But the Institute director has said she will cover that difference until we come through into the next budget cycle. So I'll have to work with Becky to get that increase, which I think it's less than $10,000, but the math is not at the top of my brain right now. We don't have a livestock educator at this moment, so I'll need to work with the program area or institute area to get that position hired.
None of the counties have a livestock educator?
Oh, no, a lot of, none of the counties in this
that group.
area.
Mhm.
Yes, they do not. Actually, I had like an overabundance of crops educators. And now we're just down to one educator. So looking for a livestock educator. And I don't know what the time frame on that is. The thing is that you won't be charged for what you don't have. So you're only paying the cost of Steve, your share, 1/3 of the cost of Steve, starting in March. And then that other cost would be added when it's officially hired. But do you have any question? I mean, it's part of, there's almost no individual county educators left.
No.
Are there any? One or two?
Yeah, one or two. They're,
Close.
well, Richard Halupka just retired in Clark County last week, and Ken Schrader is down one of the
Columbia,
county-
Portage?
one of those central Wisconsin counties. Yeah,
And
he's close to retiring.
yeah, he's within a year or two. And Heidi is not hiring individual county educators. If a county wants one, they have to pay for it 100% on their own, which, like I pointed out, depending on the initial salary you offer, is between $95,000 and $100,000 with salary and benefits. So this is the way they're going. People do specialize. And if you looked at Steve's calendar, you can see that increasing amount of specialization. And with a livestock educator, we get that sort of double hit, and
Yep.
he doesn't have to be responsible for all of it. Any questions?
Yeah.
I kind of thought you had some there, Don.
So right now you're acting as livestock and agriculture?
Yeah, kind of.
He gets
I have to be careful who I tell the truth to.
You can tell me.
So yes, I am acting as, so if it's a specific question about, say, dairy, I don't know much. I've forgotten what I used to know about dairy. I'll find somebody that knows the information. If it's hogs or beef cattle, I can handle most of those. So I just have to be careful that I don't let people in Madison know that I'm answering questions about hogs.
Can you
So-
edit that out? Okay, got it.
Let's keep that on the CEO.
Yeah.
So then I think if I'm understanding this right now, you're the only one in this role. Once we wrap our arms around a 3-county regional, then we'll have 2 people. So because we'll be dividing the expense of Steve among the 3 counties, that's what I was trying to get at, was like, how is this gonna cost us more? But it's because we'll be hiring.
yeah, you'll be paying for, right now you're paying for half an educator. In the interim, when he goes to being the regional educator, before we hire the second educator, you'll be paying 1/3. And then once we get that livestock educator, you'll be paying 2/3. So that's when it actually increases a bit. And I could do the math, but I don't have my calculator.
I don't need that kind of detail. I'm just like working it through my brain.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna throw it out here, just so our administrator, I talked with her.
Yep.
And she wants to try to understand this committee. Had a
All of
meeting
them,
with her,
yeah.
everybody. So right now that we're not in this huge hurry, I think we want to give her a little bit of time to research on how this all works, you know, she's been so busy, and to give her that, you know, input or that feeling of that we all are on the same page. I think that's the direction I believe that she wants to go, talking with her last night.
Yeah.
So when it
And-
comes to anything,
Like this. And I have already begun the discussion with her.
awesome, perfect.
So, because, you know, every county with an administrator kind of handles it differently.
Yes.
She is fairly familiar with us, so.
Okay, good.
I have talked with her. I think it makes sense for you to, you know, make a motion saying, continue the work towards the move, keep Becky informed. But, yeah.
I mean, I guess it doesn't really hurt to do the research on what it's gonna cost and, you know, where we're at. So if it does happen, or if we can make it happen, we have the information. I mean, I don't know.
Do
And
we
I
know
don't
what
know
the
that we
demand
even-
for livestock and dairy is in Trumbull County for extension end of it?
Yeah, so,
I look down in my area and, you know, I'm talking, well, in the district I represent, there might not be any cattle, just happens to be in
sure,
District 3.
sure. Yeah, and that southern end has always been kind of a grain emphasis down there. Cow numbers have not changed in the county appreciably in the last probably 15 years.
Right.
They're just changing addresses, you know, they're getting more concentrated.
Right.
So from a dairy standpoint, those larger dairies tend to hire their own consultants, that type of thing. They use university information, but not necessarily by calling the extension office like they used to. So what it's looking like is more beef, and then of course hogs and poultry have been concentrated longer than dairy has. So a lot of beef cattle, and then some of the minor species, sheep, goats, and then of course you've got the smaller producers
forget about those.
that do the, you know, have a dozen chickens and,
Right.
and a couple pigs and that type of stuff. So it's gonna be more of a mix of species
Okay.
out there that are
Right.
interested in livestock. And at the same time, I don't know what we're missing by not having livestock. You know what I mean? So when I talked about doing my grain marketing program statewide, so my undergraduate was in farm management, and I did a lot with grain marketing and stuff, former life. So I have an interest in that, I have knowledge of that, so I worked on that team. So I would get pushback from the people, my supervisors at the state. Well, what are you doing that for? Well, you've got this thing here in the state plan of work that says sustainable grain production. If the checks don't clear the bank, you're not sustainable, you know? I mean, it's pretty simple. So I got to be careful what I mean, I really wasn't joking when I said I got to be careful who knows I'm doing livestock, because I get pushback, and it's really frustrating.
It's very frustrating, and I'm technically his supervisor, but they provide input. And we spent a fair amount of time this past spring writing your plan of work to try and fit it in so we could tie together what they perceived as livestock education and we were perceiving as part of an effective all-around crops program.
Right. So pasture and forage production. Well, where does pasture and forage production stop and livestock production start?
Crazy.
I mean, yeah. So if we have somebody doing livestock, my vision is we work together as a team on a lot of this stuff and just close that whole circle. You know?
Yeah.
That would be the next question, but maybe a poor question. Is somebody like that available? They would have, I suppose they're coming out of the university with that
Oh, they're coming
background,
out
so
of the
yeah.
universities, the backgrounds are there.
So that's probably the type of person you'd end up with, so fairly.
Well, and part of it has to do with how we write the position description and those initial programming emphasis that we want. I mean, when I've spoken with Buffalo County, you know, they're like, but there's lots of different things. So we're looking at and thinking about, how we want to deliver livestock. I mean, we're not Iowa, so his great expertise in hogs is useful for a small group of people. But
About
you
three
look
of us.
about 3 of you. But it's like if you look more broadly, I mean, you are kind of looking for an animal generalist, I think. But we won't know how hard it is until we actually go out and start the search.
And, we're sitting here thinking, well, it's probably going to be somebody right out of college. That was
Right,
brought up in
right.
Buffalo County. Not necessarily true, because I don't know what it is, but it seems to me like the last half dozen or so hires, at least in crops and soils, have been coming either from high school ag education programs or private industry. And they're experienced people. They're not necessarily right out of college. So we don't know where they're going to come from.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, that's the challenge of being, the AD. And the plus side of our region being in Area 9 is that we're not having to coordinate the hiring and the supervision across areas. It's like the person we bring in is under my purview, as opposed to like sharing with the La Crosse
Yeah.
County, which is in a different area. Adam's easy to work with, but
Get it?
yeah.
Let me ask this. Question, simple one is, if we don't, how does it move forward? What happens?
Well, I think what you end up with is a third of a crops agent,
Yeah.
Okay. Because that, no matter what's going to happen?
as far as I know.
Okay.
Because that's
Unless you get
controlled
rid
by
of me.
DW.
I don't
Okay,
know.
that's what I
Yeah.
just want to get some information.
Yeah.
Just so I understand it all.
If you understand it all,
trying to
bravo.
understand it.
Well, I let me know, because
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It
So,
does. I follow
yeah,
you.
that's my understanding of it. But, right now, as of, you'll pay your half cost through the end of February, and then starting March, you'll pay a third cost. So, we'll actually
So
save.
that's happening no matter what.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I asked, yeah, how that was going to work, okay.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of a moot point because it's happening no matter what. But, what will this do to your work volume?
And maybe increase it a little bit, but when I do a report and when I do programs, they're advertised across both counties. People are free and always have been free to travel around and partake in programs. My newsletter, I write one newsletter. I'm not right now writing 2 newsletters, so it'll increase the call volume a little bit. And I've been taking phone calls and emails from Buffalo County since Carl passed away. What was that, October?
Early October, yeah.
Just to help out. So from what I've got now, I don't see any increase.
It's doable.
It's doable.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's, getting the second educator in is a helpful thing, because it,
Now, Steve, do you have an office in each county? Is
No,
that the way
no,
that works? Or
no.
you just stay here?
My office is here, primary office. I have a workspace in Jackson County that I go to every few weeks, and there's almost a workspace in Buffalo County. Yeah, that place is really crowded, so yeah.
and
When
the wa-
Superman's not using the phone booth to change, I go in there and work, so that's about the size of it.
I'm sitting there going, are you, the way I run any of my educators who are shared is you'll get a main office. You declare a home
Right,
office.
Makes sense.
And, I'm like, try to make sure that's reasonably comfortable. But your second office, it might just be a desk someplace or a standing table or,
But now if we're, for a short time, and I guess a undetermined amount of time, we'll be paying a third of wages, but will we not have increased travel, mileage, and that type
No.
of thing?
No.
You aren't able to,
No,
Or that goes
his
to
travel will be covered through the state, so you're not gonna have to pay extra for his travel.
Yep.
And even if it were a county, straight up county expense, we would divide it appropriately, but.
And I've been doing that. I just turned in 3 different trips to Buffalo County because last week I did pesticide applicator training over there for farmers and attended a couple of committee meetings just to kind of get to know me and that sort of thing. So, but Buffalo County's paying that. So
I look at it like this, at this point, when it comes to this money, we should table it for at least to our next meeting,
Okay.
is what I'm thinking. I mean, I know you guys feel, I mean, it ain't just my decision, so.
well, do we need to take any really action other than to say, it doesn't hurt to look into it, but let's not make any particular.
I don't want to promise anything by no means, but I just want to, just so we get the administrator involved, being
Yeah.
that we did hire one, you know, so we can get her
She'll
input on it.
be included in
Yeah.
any discussions,
Absolutely.
and we've already begun that process.
Awesome. That sounds good. So at this time, just we can, I guess, look into it,
Yeah, well,
and then.
I don't think you need a motion to.
Okay, yeah, I think we just maybe take it to the next meeting in 2 months and go from there. Let's go with B, reviewing the media department coverage. When it comes
So
to-
I can give you a little update on that. So I actually discussed this with Administrator Becky Gluen yesterday, and she said she would also like to table this until we have our next meeting. As we're making the transition to the new boardroom, there's going to be quite a few changes. We're doing a lot of testing and working on a lot of bugs. We're going to some touch panel technology. I guess I forgot to mention that earlier. I don't know if you guys been up in the new boardroom yet.
Not since
I was
it's
up there to
actually
see if there's a
done.
meeting and then I've
okay.
left.
Oh, okay. So, and then also I just noticed too, you'll need your ID to get in to it as well. There's this, like, the doors are locked, unlike down here where you can just walk in.
Yeah.
So it's quite a bit different setup. We'll have TVs on the lobby where people can watch, you know, that big lobby that's outside.
Yeah.
They can watch the meeting out there. So there's a lot of stuff we're kind of going through.
Are people, I'm sorry to interrupt, are people gonna be able to go inside also like they did here, or is it just, they're gonna be out there watching the?
They can do both.
They can do both,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I hope they're gonna leave the doors open on the days of the meeting. I think they have to.
Okay.
To let people in, and then if there's like too many people, then they can
Then
just
they
put
can
people
still- got it.
on the outside. So, just kind of going through a lot of changes. Danny and I will probably both be working the meetings together, just at least for the first month or two, just to make sure everything's going smoothly, because it's just a lot different change. Even the way we do the Zoom meetings is going to change. So yeah, kind of everything we know down here is going to not be as useful. So yeah, that's kind of my update for that. Is she kind of wanted to wait until we have another meeting.
Yeah, she talked to me also on that. So if anybody else has any question, I got one question, I'm gonna ask it. When it comes to our kids in schools, being that you work state and county, have they ever looked at the idea of, you know, there's a lot of groups in schools, I don't care what they talk about, you have your, I guess your popular ones and then your nerds and the ones all in between. Have they ever discussed or ever tried a situation where they can bring these kids together, like we have a meeting, we meet and greet everybody, or when you're in church, you meet and greet people, about, I understand they're kids, but meeting and greeting other kids. So you got these popular ones that, you know, these kids that might not talk to these other kids because of this, or just because they haven't been introduced, and things like that, to bring these kids together in maybe assemblies or classrooms to try to get these kids closer to one another instead of this group and that group. Have they ever looked at something like that? I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. I thought in my mind of where we want to try to bring kids together and communicate a little bit better and to feel comfortable with each other more. Not just one time a year. It's got to be several different times a year for these schools. I don't see that would be of a hard thing to do, being that, you know, it's pretty easy to bring an assembly together and say, you guys, we're gonna meet and greet. We're gonna do some things here to everybody, to meet everybody, so you're not uncomfortable out at the playground trying to meet somebody.
Yeah.
You know, kind of a deal. So, I don't know, I just wanted to bring that up to you since you're in here and you deal with a lot of kids.
Yeah, and I
So-
can bring that up with some of my groups and kind of see what they're doing, the different
See, there are
options.
different ideas of what they can do when it comes to bringing these kids together.
Absolutely.
That'd be awesome, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that a lot.
In terms of setting the next meeting date, our regularly scheduled meeting date would have been on 4/16, but that's your all-day county board meeting, your reorg meeting. So we need to, so if we set it after the 16th, then we would know who was on the committee.
You're so right.
So you're gonna wait till after, yeah.
That's my thought.
I was thinking the same thing just this morning.
I have competition, so I might not be here at all. And then I'm sure we'll rearrange where we
Yeah,
are.
the all-day meeting is your reorg meeting, so you'll be getting whatever assignments that you get.
Well, there's gonna be a lot
And in the
of,
meantime, you're not in a, excuse me.
I'm not in a rush.
with this other, that
Nope.
can slide for a month or two. Okay.
Absolutely. So,
and
what
then
day?
we're also working on different things of what committee meetings you're gonna be meeting on. You know, all the committees could be changed, we don't even know at this
Yep.
point when it comes to how this is all gonna work, so I think that's a
So
Great
are we
idea.
looking to reschedule it sometime in April, or are we looking to skip the April?
I think we should schedule for April, don't you
Yeah,
think?
I do
That way
too.
we have something, I mean, if we have to change it or
What's
cancel.
what day is available the following week? Just,
Man, I'm so.
Oh, you're looking at Grace again.
no.
Oh, yeah. Was this April? So this is 16th?
22nd to 26th. somewhere.
Yeah.
The 23rd would be that next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Are you looking at Tuesdays, I'm sure?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's, 23rd work?
That's what
I mean, as long as we're all on it, I mean, it's probably gonna change.
Yeah. We'll go with the 4/23 at 8:30.
That sounds good to me.
Does that work for
Sounds
everyone? Okay.
Yeah.
All righty. I will let Tammy know, unless she already knows because she's listening in. That's a really tiny picture of them.
It is a very tiny, so now I was thinking to myself, I mean, everything's really small. That's okay.
Okay. And then at that meeting, you know, depending on the makeup and stuff, we can move forward with scheduling regular ones, so.
Completely agree. All right, well, with saying all that, we'll adjourn this meeting at 9:45.
There you go.
Thanks to everybody coming.